consolidate your place, your position in the devotional service. It will enhance your understanding of Srila Prabhupada books, your conviction, your faith, your service attitude, etc., etc. And I would also like to thank BVRB for giving me this opportunity to serve you in some little capacity. Now I'll try my definitely best, because devotional service, the Lord himself is Ananta, he's unlimited. The devotional service of the Lord is unlimited, the scriptures are unlimited. The various angles through which we can understand them, they are actually unlimited. But I am actually limited. So whatever I heard, whatever I understood, that I will try to share with all of you. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, towards the end, now when Sudha Goswami is about to begin the narration of Parikshit Maharaj, how he went into the forest for hunting and what happened with him. So there he gives an analogy of a bird. Just like the different birds, they fly in the sky to their different capacities. Similarly, he says the different devotees of the Lord, they actually are able to describe about the Lord in different capacities. So that's I just wanted to remember. And also during our Bhakti Vaibhav, we came across a nice verse between the third canto, between Vidurji and Maitreya. There's a nice verse. Maitreya Muni says, Tathapi kirtiyami anga yathamati yathashrutam kirtim hare swam satkartum giram anyabhidhasatim. He's telling, Tathapi, although I'm not qualified to describe about the Lord and his glories, still I'm going to do that, O Anga, O Vidura, O my dear Vidura. How? Yathamati yathashrutam. Yathamati means as far as my understanding, my intelligence goes. And yathashruta means whatever I have heard in the parampara. It's not that something I'm going to concoct new. So that's what he says. And kirtim harer swam satkartum. I'm going to glorify Lord for what purpose? Swam satkartum. Swam satkartum means for my own purification. Giram anyabhidasatim. Asatim. If I don't use the power of speech, gira, in this way, speaking about the Lord, then it will become asatim. It will become unchaste. So that's a nice meditation to begin with. Of course, Maitreya Muni is telling this out of his natural humility, but I know what is my condition here. So, but it's anyway a nice meditation to think about it and to start this session. About how we are going to study this last section of Bhagavad Gita, the last 6 chapters. I mean, generally, I would like to start on time, whether there's one devotee, even if there's one devotee, I would start at 11:30 sharp. And also, we will try to finish on time. And in the beginning, we'll just do 5 minutes kirtan, quick kirtan. And then, as far as the pace or the speed of our discussion is concerned, in the last 6 chapters, there are about 212 verses are there. And we have been given 40 hours or 20 sessions. 20 sessions, that is on 10 weeks, every Saturday and Sunday. So in these 40 hours, we have to complete these 212 verses, about 200 verses. So that's about roughly 5.5 verses per hour, or maybe you can say 10 to 11 verses in each session. So that's how we will try to cover them. Initially, before we actually begin with this verse, I will just give a brief overview of the third section, the last section of the Bhagavad Gita, a quick overview of each chapter. Then we will recite in the beginning of each session, we'll recite a verse in the lead and follow manner. And then we'll just read all the translations. I personally like to recite all the verses. Then we'll read all the translations. And because we have a limited time, we may not be able to read all the purports, all the lines of Srila Prabhupada, although everything is important. But because of lack of time, limitation of time, we may read sometimes in the beginning, we'll read the entire purport, but later on, maybe we'll choose and read and discuss from Srila Prabhupada's purport. And about asking questions, if you have any questions in between, you can just raise your hand in Zoom and just mark your questions. After some time, periodically, I'll take the questions. And because the number of participants are not a huge number, so maybe we can take in between also, but you can just raise your hand. And if you wish, you can ask me questions later also. I think everybody has my number, and I'll just share my, where is the chat here? Yeah. everyone. I'll just share my number once again here, my name and my mail ID also. So in case if you want to ask little later or something you remember later, you can ask me on WhatsApp or mail also. Although you may not get an immediate response because I'm a little busy with so many other things also, but definitely I'll try to respond to you. And about the OBA question, Arun Prabhu, you already have the OBA questions from your students' handbook on the
Yes,
third.
yes, Prabhuji.
So you already know what to do, how to answer, how to write answers. I think this has been already done previously in other books, other
Yes,
sections.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
So what is the deadline for completing these two questions on the third section?
It's normally like the last class after the, like 1 week after the last class.
Okay.
There is submission.
Okay, fine. So that's good. And you have my number, Arun Prabhu. So in case sometimes something goes wrong with the internet or laptop or some technical problem, you can always call me or and I'll also try to call you. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Anybody has any questions or any comments on what we just said now here? Otherwise, we'll go ahead with the overview of the 13 chapters. Last 6 chapters, 13 to 18. Okay. I think there's no questions, comments. So you have already studied Bhagavad Gita 1, Bhagavad Gita 2, and now we're studying Bhagavad Gita 3, the last section. So what are these first two sections called as? Bhagavad Gita 1 section is predominantly what? What is being discussed? What is the theme?
Yoga ladder.
Okay, just raise your hands. Yeah, yoga ladder.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Or maybe because there are only 8 now. Yes, Bhakti Leela Mataji.
Karma Yoga.
Karma Yoga. Okay, that's good. Yes, yoga ladder is obviously there, but of course, the Karma Yoga, that is the theme there in the first 6 chapters. What about the last section which you studied, 7 to 12? Kishore Madhav Prabhuji?
Actually, I was talking of first section only, Sankhya Yoga and relative
Okay.
treatment for body and soul.
Okay, fine. That is there in 2.11 to 2.30. Yes, that is there. Sankhya Yoga is there. But the theme of overall the first 6 chapters is actually the Karma Yoga. Then the next one, 7 to 12.
Bhakti.
Bhakti, yes, Bhakti Yoga is very vividly and very nicely described. And now in the last sections, the last 6 chapters, it's called as what section?
Jnana Yoga.
Yes, Jnana Yoga or the Jnana section. Yes. So now we say na in the bhakti is actually the goal. What is the goal of reading Bhagavad Gita or understanding Bhagavad Gita? We have to become a devotee of Lord Sri Krishna, right? Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So these 4 things we have to do. Think of Krishna, become his devotee, offer obeisances and worship him. And that's we can see the magic has been done by Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is all over the world. Although before Srila Prabhupada also and after also there are so many versions of Bhagavad Gita, but Srila Prabhupada as it is actually transformed the lives of the people and they have become devotees of Lord Sri Krishna. So if Bhakti Yoga is the culmination, if you read 6.47, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana, in that last verse of the 6th chapter, in the purport Srila Prabhupada writes, yoga means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are actually the progressive steps towards the Bhakti Yoga. So if Bhakti Yoga is the culmination and ultimately the goal of Bhagavad Gita is to become a devotee of Lord Sri Krishna, then somebody may ask a question, okay, so we studied Bhakti now in the middle section, 6 chapters. Then what is the need to study Jnana now in the last 6 chapters after discussing Bhakti? If somebody asks like this, what you may say? Do you have anything to say? Is the question clear or question not clear? If the question is clear, just raise your hand like this. Okay, like this. Okay. I think there's a couple of answers coming up. Yes, Arun Jaiswal.
Like in the last section, Prabhuji told that at Chatushloki, like almost Bhagavad Gita ends, that it is kind of conclusion. But after that, Arjun asks questions more or Krishna explains so that other things may become more clear. Like after that, in the further chapter, mode of goodness, passion, like modes, different modes. There is a talk about that, and how should a person conduct himself. So there are few topics that is related. So Arjun is asking for all of us, so that we can progress. So yes, Bhakti Yoga is ultimate, but after that, to support people in Kali Yuga in one sense, Arjun is asking question for the benefit of other people.
Okay, very nice. So Bhagavad Gita was actually ending after Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita 10.8, 9, 10, 11. But because Arjun is asking for the questions, this discussion continues. Okay, that's one understanding. Prasanna Gopal Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, actually, this is the last 6 chapters are the extended description of the topics which has been already discussed earlier, which helps the practitioner to enhance his understanding in terms of following the bhakti in like whatever the path he is following. He can build up that, and that will be helpful for making his devotional service better. So that is the basically that is the extended knowledge which Krishna is giving to them.
Okay. That is also nice. So you are saying that whatever is being discussed is being further clarified to consolidate our understanding, and it's an extension of what has been discussed earlier also. Okay. Thank you. Kishore Madhav Prabhuji.
Yes. Prabhuji, Jnana Yoga is also important because in Bhagavad Gita it says in Jnanagni Sarva Karmani Bhasmasat Kure Arjuna. So the ignorance also has to be buried, and the total knowledge is there, and if we do bhakti, then that is the best bhakti according to Krishna.
I just missed it last part. What is the last sentence you said?
See, if we do bhakti with the total knowledge, then you are in a better position to do bhakti. That's why Jnana is also important. So the ignorance also has to be removed.
Okay. Very nice answer. Yes, all the answers are very good. And the last one also is very good, because bhakti also, although bhakti is independent, if you study Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami say bhakti is not dependent on anything. Bhakti is not dependent on vairagya, jnana, etc., etc. But there is one thing to do just something out of sentiments, and another thing to do something out of knowledge, right? Based on knowledge. Bhakti means actually actions based on knowledge. So Arjuna was confused in the beginning. He got the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and now he's, Nashto moho sputi labdha tat prasadat maya chuta sitosmi gata sandeha karishya vachanam tava. So that's his action. He's going to fight now. So Srila Prabhupada says, does that mean, Arjuna was a good man, non-violent man in the beginning, and after hearing Bhagavad Gita, he became violent, so he became a bad person? So no, that is not the thing. Now he understood the overall picture, why the Lord has come, what is his mission, paritranaya sadhunam yatha yadai dharmasya. Now you can just mute Kishore Madhav Prabhuji. So now he is going to perform action, not just for his, which is a self-centered action. Now he's going to perform the war. He's going to fight the war as a devotional service to Lord Sri Krishna, to help him in his mission, like that. So yes, jnana is required, so that, whatever we do, that we do based on a solid understanding. Yes, therefore all these sections are there. And also sometimes you might have heard this sandwich. Sometimes the devotees, they talk about sandwich analogy. Sandwich analogy means two pieces of breads are there, and in between there's a butter, or there's, this jam is there. So the most essential aspect of Bhagavad Gita, which is a bhakti, like a jam or the butter, is there in between. And the first and the second section, the last section, they are like, two pieces of breads. And which that is actually the butter is the thing, or the jam is the thing which actually gives the taste to the whole thing, right? So therefore, whether it is karma, whether it is jnana, ultimately we have to rise towards the bhakti yoga, the highest perfectional stage, correct? And if you read Srila Vishwanath Chakradev Thakur, he says that without bhakti, even the jnana and karma, they are actually useless. You cannot achieve success in your path of jnana or karma yoga, jnana yoga or karma yoga, if it has no touch of bhakti. Like, jnanis also, they will also have to chant some names, although they may like very much impersonal, like Om they like, or they may chant Hari Om, etc. like that. They study the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutra, which is given by the Lord himself. So they also need the help of the Lord and the His holy name, some chanting, some aspect of bhakti. Without that, they cannot even succeed in their own path. And therefore, bhakti has to be in touch with the jnana and also with the karma. Then only both of them can be successful. This is the reason why the bhakti is being placed in between. Uh, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains there are three levels of bhakti, or three kinds of bhakti. One, he says, the Guni Bhuta Bhakti. Another is, he says, Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. And the third one is Kevala Bhakti. Don't get disturbed by these words, these technical words. Even if you don't understand, it's not much, it's okay. So what is Guni Bhuta Bhakti? Guni Bhuta Bhakti means whatever the path you are following, karma or jnana, that is prominent, and bhakti is a secondary. Bhakti, they use it as just as a tool to succeed in their own path. Like we say, Bhakti Mishra Gyan. Bhakti Mishra Gyan means what is prominent, bhakti or gyan? Gyan is prominent. And it is mixed with bhakti. Some element of bhakti is there, but gyan is prominent, right? So that is called as Guni Bhuta Bhakti, either Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. So where bhakti is secondary, their path is prominent. Then second one is Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti means Jnana Mishra Bhakti. One is Bhakti Mishra Gyan, where bhakti is secondary. Now we are talking about Pradhani Bhuta, means bhakti is the main element. So it is Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti. So bhakti is main, but still there are some other elements are also there, like that. So, and the last one, he says, it is Kevala Bhakti. Kevala Bhakti means there is no mixture, nothing. It's only pure and pure bhakti only. Anya Bilashida Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. So this can be called as Uttama Bhakti or Kevala Bhakti or Shuddha Bhakti, like that. So therefore he says, this bhakti, which is a pure devotional service, is kept in between, and this way bhakti is in touch with jnana, and bhakti in the middle is in touch with the karma also, so that they can also be successful. And as Prabhuji was saying earlier also, that this jnana which Lord is explaining in the last 6 chapters, it is not the typical jnana of the impersonalists. I mean, what is the understanding of jnana when we say jnana yoga or jnana? That means these jnanis, they actually, they're trying to learn about the soul, the body, the material nature, the three modes, the nature of the absolute truth. What is the difference between the matter and the spirit? This is their focus of discussion, right? So although they may try to take out impersonal meaning out of their understanding or out of their study, but here this jnana in the Bhagavad Gita in the last 6 section is actually, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says, it serves, this jnana serves as the door to bhakti. So, this jnana will help us to detach from the matter. This jnana will help us to attach more to Krishna, get attached more to the process of devotional service by understanding the nature of soul, the entanglement in the matter, and the nature of the Lord. Just like in 15th chapter, Lord says, how the Lord is actually maintaining in the form of the teja of the sun, in the light of the moon, and is giving the juice to all the vegetables. How he says, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita Pranapana Samayukto Pachami Anya Chaturvidam. Although we are eating, we don't know how it is getting digested. So Lord is saying, I am the one actually as a Vaishwanara is digesting whatever food you are actually eating. And he says, Sarvasachaham Rudhi Sannivishto Mattas Mrudhi Jnanam Apohanam Cha. So how Lord is helping us, jivas, in this, even this material world. He has not just left them all alone because you're rebelled against me. Go and do whatever you want, like that. No, he has given us the Vedas. Vedesha sarver ahameva vedyo. I am the goal of the Vedas. What is the goal of the Vedas? That is also being stated. Veda also being given. Vedas have been also actually Vedanta Krut Veda Videvachaham. I am actually the compiler of the Vedas. So this way, we can understand the nature of the Lord, and that way we can consolidate our position in our devotional service. So this is a brief understanding about what the section we are going to study and how these 3 sections of Bhagavad Gita are there in the place. So let's begin now with the overview of the chapter, these 6 chapters. So the connections between the last chapter 12 and this 13th chapter is where the Lord is telling in the 12th chapter, Teshamaham samuddarta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha maya veshita chetsam. Those who are attached to me, those who are, devoted to me, Teshamaham samuddarta, for delivering them from this mrityu samsara sagarat, I actually come them and lift them without any delay. Bhavami na chirat. Chirat means long time. Na chirat means very swiftly, very quickly. I lift them up from this mrityu samsara sagara. And now this, after that promise of the Lord in 12.7, now from this 13 to 18, he is actually going to give us the philosophical understanding, the knowledge which is necessary to get out of this entanglement of the jiva and the prakriti, the soul which is entrapped in this maya or the material nature, to get us out of that mrityu samsara sagarat. He's going to give us this knowledge. So this chapter number 13 is known as nature, the enjoyer, and the consciousness, kshetra kshetrajna vibhaga yoga. So in the very first verse, Arjuna is going to ask 6 terms: prakriti, purusha, kshetra, kshetrajna, jnana, and niyam. And the entire chapter, this 13th chapter, is nothing but the answer or explanation of these 6 terms. What is kshetra? The soul. Kshetra, the body, material body. Kshetrajna, the soul, knower of the body. Then what is the knowledge? One who knows the field of activity and the knower of the field of activity, and the supreme knower, the super soul. That is actually the knowledge. Gayam, what is the object of this particular knowledge? That knowing soul and the super soul. And then the Purusha and the Prakriti. Prakriti is the material nature. And this Purusha is actually the Supreme Lord. He is the real Purusha. But Purusha is also being referred to here to the individual soul or the Jivatma, because he's imitating Purusha. He's not actually Purusha. He's trying to enjoy here. So all these things will be actually discussed in detail here in this 13th chapter. So comes the next chapter, 14. Then the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the 3 modes of the material nature. And there's a nice verse in the 13th chapter, 13.22, which works as the seed verse for all the last six chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. Purusha prakrutistho hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangasyo sad asad yoni janmasu, 13.22. So because this Purusha, this living entity, he is actually situated in this prakriti, in this material nature, and is trying to enjoy them. Bhungte prakriti jan gunan. And because of his association with Karanam Guna Sangasyo, Sad Asad Yoni Janmusu, he is taking birth in the lower or the higher forms of bodies. He's enjoying, he's trying to enjoy like that. So, in short, taking clue from this particular verse, Lord Krishna will explain what is this Guna Sangha, what are the 3 modes of material nature, how these 3 modes they actually condition a living entity. Then what are the effects of being conditioned by the 3 modes, that will be discussed. And then obviously the solution part, how we can escape the binding of the 3 modes, how we can transcend the 3 modes, that will be also discussed in the end of the 14 chapters. Mam cha yoga vibicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatite tyan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That he will explain. So now all these 15, 16, 17, all these chapters, further chapters are based on this 13.22, where now in the 15th chapter, the whole material creation is described with an analogy of a banyan tree. And what is that first verse, 15.1? Urdhamulam adashakham ashwatham prahuravyam, like that. This Purushottam yoga of the Supreme Person. So, towards the end of chapter 14 also, where the Lord describes Sagunan Samatidaitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. So, Arjuna may have these questions like, what is this material world made up of the gunas? And what is this Brahman? And who are you actually? You say, I am the basis of this Brahman. Brahmano hi pratisthaham. So, anticipating all these questions, Lord starts speaking in the 15th chapter with the analogy of this banyan tree. And then he talks about how we can go from this banyan tree, the superficial or the reflection of the banyan tree, to the actual banyan tree. How we can go from material world to the spiritual world. That he will explain. Then how the living entities are transmigrating in different bodies, conditioned souls, on the different branches of this particular tree. That will be also explained. And then how I just spoke earlier, that how Krishna maintains this banyan tree or this material world and the conditioned souls within it by all these, sun of light of the sun, light of the moon, and Vaishwanara, by giving the Vedas, etc., like that. And then there is a famous, just like we had Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita in 10th chapter, we have 3 Shloki Bhagavad Gita in 15th chapter, 15.16, 17, 18, which is actually the summary of the Vedas or the Vedanta Sutras, summary of the Vedanta, where the absolute truth or the Supreme Lord, how he is different than the conditioned souls and also from the liberated souls. Jiva and the Lord, they are not one. That is being emphasized in these 3 shlokas. And then the next chapter, 16th chapter, which is the divine and the demonic nature. That again, how the upper branches are the divine natures on this banyan tree, and the lower branches, they are the demoniac natures. Daiva Asura Sampada Vibhaga Yoga. So the good fruits of this tree are, the divine qualities, bad or undesirable fruits, they are the demoniac qualities. So what are these transcendental or the divine qualities? Krishna first speaks about them, some 26 divine qualities, and assures Arjuna that you are actually of the divine nature, don't worry. And then he goes on to describe demoniac qualities, their mentalities, their activities, the consequences of those activities in detail, describing how these 3 gates to hell, Kama, Krodha, Tatha, Lobhas, they actually lead to the hell. And the main difference between the divine and the demoniac. Can anybody guess what is the main difference between divine and demoniac? Yes, you can unmute and speak, because I know very few participants are there, so no problem. Yes, Deepali Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So today only Radhisham Prabhu told in the lecture that divine people are those who follow the God's rules, and demoniac are those who go against the God's rules.
Yes, Sura and Asura. So towards the end of 16th chapter, Krishna says, Shastra Vidimutsurja Vartate Kamakarata. So that main difference between the Suras and Asuras is, Asuras, they don't actually, they actually give up the scriptures or scriptural injunctions, and that is actually the main. They don't like to follow God, the laws of God or the scriptures, and whereas the Suras, they actually try to follow them. So that is actually the main difference. And in the 17th chapter, the divisions of the faith, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. So where Arjuna inquires in the beginning of the 17th chapter that those demoniacs are the ones who don't abide by the scriptures. But there are some people who don't abide by the scriptures, but they worship something with the Shraddha. Yah Shastra Vidhim Utsrujya Yajante Shraddhayanvita. So what about them? What happens to them? So this Shraddha, which is, then Lord goes on to explain how it is divided into mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. And then based on these 3 modes, Lord goes on to explain various things in chapter 17. Like what are the 3 faiths? What are the different kinds of worships? What are the 3 kinds of foods in 3 modes of nature? Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic food. And then sacrifices, austerities, and charities in the 3 modes. And like that, he goes on to describe and how we can purify all these activities by chanting Om Tat Sat. And then, as it was said earlier also in the 10.11, the Bhagavad Gita was over. So similarly, now also after the 17th chapter, Bhagavad Gita is actually over. But now, as a good teacher, just like a good teacher gives a summary in the beginning and maybe at the end also. So similarly, Krishna has given a summary in the starting, chapter number 2, the summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita, all the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, everything is being explained, Bhakti Yoga in nutshell. And now at the chapter 18 also, Moksha Sannyasi Yoga, he is going to again revise what is being spoken earlier in all these chapters, summary of the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and then the modes, like how to go from Sakam to Nishkam Karma Yoga, and then Nishkam to the Brahman platform to the devotional service, and then the pure Bhakti, 56 onwards, how the Sharanagati is actually the Confidential knowledge, surrendering to the super soul. And most confidential knowledge actually is becoming the pure devotee of the Lord. That also will be explained. And the last part is the realizations of Arjuna, which he will speak in few verses, 4-5 verses. And then the realization of Sanjaya also. Bhagavad Gita begins with the inquiry from the Dhritarashtra, the first verse. That is being answered by Sanjaya conclusively in the last verse, 18.78. What is that verse? Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever the Lord and his devotees are there, these four things will be there. Right? Tatra Shri Vijayo Dhrutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. So morality, extraordinary power, opulence, and then the victory, they'll be always there with them. That is the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, an answer to the very first question or the very first inquiry, which is made by Dhritarashtra in the first chapter, first verse. Okay. Any questions or comments? Otherwise, we'll just go ahead with the 13th chapter, beginning with shloka number 1 and 2. Okay, so I'll share my screen here and we'll just recite from here the first two verses. So please recite after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please unmute and recite.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 13, which is entitled Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. Text 1 and 2. Arjuna Uvacha. Please follow me. Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Vacha.
Prakrutim Purusham Chaiva.
Nakritim Purusham Chaiva.
Kshetram Kshetrajnameva cha.
Kshetram Kshetragyameva cha.
Etad Veditumicchami.
Etam Veditum Ichchami.
Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava.
Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava.
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha.
Idam Shariram Kaunteya.
Idam Shariram Kaunteya.
Kshetram iti abhidhiyate.
Kshetram iti abhidhiyate.
Etad yo vetitam prahur.
Etadyo veti tam prahu.
Kshetrajnam iti tadvidah.
Kshetrajya iti tadvida.
Okay, so I'll just read for the first time the translation and purport, and then I'll ask you to read also. So translation, word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. Translation. Arjuna said, "Oh dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Purport. Arjuna was inquisitive about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, Kshetra, the field, Kshetrajna, its knower, and knowledge, and the object of knowledge. When he inquired about all these, Krishna said that this body is called the field, and that one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. This body is the field of activity for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is entrapped in material existence, and he attempts to lord it over the material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. That field of activity is the body. And what is this? What is the body? The body is made of senses. The conditioned soul wants to enjoy sense gratification, and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he is offered a body or field of activity. Therefore, the body is called Kshetra, or the field of activity for the conditioned soul. Now, the person who should not identify himself with the body is called Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. It is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower, the body and the knower of the body. Any person can consider that from childhood to old age, he undergoes so many changes of the body, yet is still one person remaining. Thus, there is a difference between the knower of the field of the activities and the actual field of activities. A living conditioned soul can thus understand that is different from the body. It is described in the beginning, the Hinosmin, that the living entity is within the body and that the body is changing from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth and from youth to old age, and the person who owns the body knows that the body is changing. The owner is distinctly Kshetrajna. Sometimes we think, I am happy, I am man, I am woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. These are the bodily designations of the knower, but the knower is different from the body. Although we may use many articles, our clothes, etc., we know that we are different from things used. Similarly, we also understand by little contemplation that we are different from the body. I or you or anyone else who owns the body is called Kshetrajna, the knower of the field of activities, and the body is called Kshetra, the field of activities itself. I think we'll just stop here and we'll recite prayers before we actually begin the discussion. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं. Okay. So in this 13th chapter, there are 4 or 5 sections, you can say. The first verse, which talks about, which is the inquiry from Arjuna, is asking clarification about these 6 terms. And as I said, the rest of the chapter is the answer to these 6 terms. And in 13.2 to 7, out of these 6 terms, Lord Sri Krishna will explain about the first 2 terms, Kshetra and Kshetrajna, from 2 to 7. So the Kshetra is actually the field or the body, and the Kshetrajna is the knower of the field or the individual soul as well as the super soul. We will study that in the third text. Then the next 13.8 to 19, in these verses, the next 2 terms, Jnana and Geyam, That is the knowledge and the object of knowledge. So this is a very nice section, 20 items of knowledge, 13.8 to 12. We will have some discussion on that. I mean, interactive discussion. So that is the Jnana, 13.8 to 12, and 13.13 to 19. Gayam, the object of knowledge. The first one, it talks about the soul as the object of knowledge, and in the super soul, which is the Paramatma, from 14 onwards till 19. So that's how the first four terms they get explained. And then 13.20 to 26, then there is this Prakriti and Purusha, the material nature and the soul, and their union, how they get entangled, etc. That is being described. And then the last section, 27 to 35, last 8-9 verses, Lord will describe about Jnana Chakshu, the one person who is equipped with this particular knowledge. How does he sees at the things? All those things are actually very, very philosophical. That is actually being explained. What is that verse? This last section, no? After studying the sweet section of the Bhakti Yoga, you may find this is very philosophical, sometimes very, very technical also. Yeah, anaditvat nirgunatvat paramatmatma avyayam sharirasthopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Although the soul is sharirasthopi, he is there situated in the body, hey kaunteya, na karoti na lipyate, he does nothing and he gets entangled nothing. He doesn't get entangled. Then devotees naturally ask, okay, he does nothing, then who does actually? And who gets entangled then if he doesn't get entangled? So we will study how, I mean, some explanation of understanding about that. So Arjuna is asking, Prakrutim Purusham cha eva, Prakriti and Purusha, Kshetra Kshetrajna meva cha, Kshetra and Kshetrajna, Etat Veditum Ichhami. Hey Krishna, my dear Lord Sri Krishna, I want to know, I desire to know about them, and also Jnanam Jnayam cha Keshava. Hey Keshava, I also would like to know about Jnanam and Jnayam. And then Lord Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Uvachi says, Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetram iti abhidhiyate. Hey Kaunteya, this Sharira, this body is Kshetram iti abhidhiyate. This body is called as the Kshetra, the field of activity. Etad yo vetitam prahur, one who knows this body, right? He is called as Kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. Know that that person who knows about the body, who knows about the field of activity, he is called as Kshetrajna. This is being told here. Okay. So there is a nice analogy given. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says, this just like a farmer and the field. There is a farmer who has a field, maybe in front of his house or wherever, and he's trying to cultivate some crops and trying to take certain different yields in his farm, right? Like that, in his particular land. Similarly, there is a soul and he has got a land or the field of activity, that is this body, right? So can you further take this analogy and say, just like the farmer is growing different yields or the crops, sometimes potatoes or maybe sugarcane or chawal and gehu. So what is this soul is cultivating? What kind of crops or yields is getting using this land, which is compared to the body? So this analogy is clear. Farmer and his field and the yield. So soul and the body. And what is the yield or different things he's getting? Arun Jaiswal Prabhuji.
Like as I've heard, he is doing different karma, and according to karma, he is getting reactions, actions and reactions. So actions are the seeds which he is sowing, and the reactions which he is getting as per his karma are the yield. And different bodies due to that karma he is getting.
Okay, yes, very nice. Yes. So he's getting different bodies in form of different yields and also different activities, karmas, which is performing. What is the yield you said?
The reactions in the form of different bodies of the karma.
Okay, reactions in the form of different bodies. Yes. Okay, that's right. Good. Anybody else? Anybody else can guess? What do we get in our life? We are trying to do so many activities, right? Throughout our life. What do we get in our life? Apart from different bodies, that is after the end of this body, but within this body, while we are in this body,
Sukh and Dukh.
what do we Sukh and
Sukh
Dukh,
and Dukh.
yes. Yeah, Sukh and Dukh. Yes. So we get happiness and distress. We get here. What else we can get using this particular? So we can say, the papa and punya, we are performing different activities, karma, vikarma. And along with that, we can also perform akarma. Now with that, we know we have come to the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. We know now, performing activities of dharma or following the instructions of the Lord. And what is the yield we can get by following the dharma or the laws of God? What is the result or the yield we can get? Yes, Kishore, Madhav Prabhu.
Based on this knowledge, we go up the cycle of bhakti. If we do good work, pious work, and bhakti, then we go more closer to Krishna in every life.
Okay, that what is it
And
called
suppose
technically?
we do good work this life, then as mentioned earlier, Sushina Srimata Gehe Yogo Bhasto Vijayate. That means the next body will get much better so that we can progress further into our life. So life after life, we can keep progressing.
Okay, fine. Yes. There is a chat, Sundari Palika Mataji saying Krishna consciousness. Yes. So by following the dharma or the activities or by performing the activities of bhakti, akarma, we can also get liberation or the moksha, freedom from the entanglement. Is it not? That is actually the ultimate yield, which we call, every day before is chanting the holy name says, what is that last one? To be not attentive is also
Krishna
not.
Prem.
Every devotee who claims to be in Vaishnava must carefully guard against the 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success.
Krishna Prem. Krishna
Krishna
Prem.
Prem. Yes. That is the ultimate, right? That is the ultimate yield we can get by using this body only. Although this body is material, this body is also the means of performing dharma. What is that? Shariram adyam khalu dharma. Shariram adyam khalu dharma sadhanam. So the shariram is actually the means of performing activities of dharma. Yes. Okay. Fine. And if we don't do that, then we are just simply performing karma or vikarma, and then we continue to get different bodies. And maybe we are not better than the animals. Ahar nidra bhai maitanam cha. And then without dharma, actually we will just get transmigrating from one body to another. And then Srila Prabhupada again says, kshetrajna. Everybody knows or understand, he knows many quotes there, that it is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower. So if you have to explain, I mean, I'm sure most of you already read Bhagavad Gita many times. Some of you may be also preaching based on Bhagavad Gita to your relatives, your friends, or officially you may be in some capacity preaching. So if you have to explain to your friend or somebody that how we are not this body. So Prabhupada is saying anybody can easily understand. So what are some of the common ways we can understand that Kshetrajna is different than the body? Then the field of activity is different, the body is different, and the knower of the body is different. How we can easily understand? Or some of the common sense means you might be preaching DYS. What are the things we say in DYS? Yes, Arun Prabhu. Arun Prabhu, you're there, or Kishore Madhav Prabhu? Yes.
Concept of body and soul. That means when the body, when at the time of death, the body remains, but soul progresses further. So that's how we distinguish between body and soul.
Yeah. That is what the theory is, but how do we practically understand, or common way we can understand, or we can explain to somebody else? That is the question. Yes, Prashant Gopal Prabhuji, Prasanna Gopal Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, actually, when we say like hand, so when we want to refer hand, then we don't say I hand, we say my hand. So whose hand is it is? It is like my means something different. It should be like if it is hand is ourself, then we should have said that I hand, I leg. we say my leg, so that belongs to the soul.
Yes.
So soul is
Okay. Very
different and
nice.
the
Yes.
body is different.
Yes, correct. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is telling here in the purport. Although we may use many articles, our clothes, etc., we know that we are different from these things being used. Similarly, that analogy can be extended: my hand, my head, my stomach, my body. That means when I say this is my shirt, the shirt and me, we are different. The shirt belongs to me. So similarly, when I say it is my body, means I am different than the body. This way also we can understand. Yes, Arun Jaiswal.
And Srila Prabhupada ji only gives example of this gloves. If a person wears a glove and he is moving hand, it appears that glove is moving, but the glove is not moving. The hand inside is moving. As soon as the hand is removed, the gloves falls down. Similarly, it appears that the body is moving, but it is the soul inside that is moving, or that is making the body to move. But it's not that the body is moving. So therefore, we are not body. And Prabhupada says in this way that we are not this body, but the soul, which is residing inside.
Yes, yes, very nice. Yes, and then Srila Prabhupada further also explains that just in the ant's body also, or the gigantic elephant's body also, same man may drive a bicycle, a two-wheeler, a car, and he may also drive a jumbo jet. So the same body, the soul, which is actually making it move around. Yes, okay, fine. Yes, Deepali Mataji.
If somebody dies, then we say that वो चल बसे तो कौन चल बसा उनका body, his body is there, then who is not in the body? So because soul is not there, even if the body is there, consciousness is not present.
Yes, correct. Yeah, this is Srila Prabhupada says he has gone. Where is he gone? My father has gone. Where is he gone? The father's body is lying in front of me, but still I'm saying my father has gone. That means to whom I was calling as father was not this body, was something different than this body which is not present now. Therefore, I say he has gone, or he has gone away. He has left his body, like that we say. Okay, fine. So there are many, many more analogies also. You might have heard about chariot and the passenger and the horses, the reins. That analogy is also there. So many ways we can also understand. Now, that's about the Kshetra and Kshetrajna. And in the second paragraph, Srila Prabhupada, this is his style usually. In the first purport of the first verse, he will talk about what to expect in the coming chapter, in the coming verses. And towards the end of the purport, last verse, last purport also, he summarizes what we discussed so far. So now here, Srila Prabhupada says in the second paragraph towards the end, now starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord through the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge, and the discharge of devotional service are explained. Although the living entity is completely different from the material body, he somehow becomes related. This also is explained. Okay, fine. So it is also said, just like, I may say, I have some my childhood memories, when I was in school, maybe I was 5 or 7 years old, this happened, that happened. I still have that memory and that experience I can still recall. But actually, the body when I was 5 or 7 years old, that is not there now. That body is completely changed. But then I still remember. So who is that person who's witnessing what happened at that particular time? Although the body is all the time changing. So that is also another way, which we can understand that, we are now this body, common sense ways. And later on, you can always talk about the reincarnation and the out of body, near death experience, etc., etc. Okay, now fine. So now Krishna spoke about the Kshetra and Kshetrajna. He briefly answered. Now he's going to talk about second Kshetrajna. First Kshetrajna is what? The soul, the individual soul. Now he's going to talk about the another Kshetrajna, knower of the field. And what is called as Jnana. That also he'll be explaining in the third text. So this is because the Jnana section, these impersonalists, they very much like to twist and uh, do the word jugglery, and that's how they give different meaning to these verses. That also we'll just briefly see. So 13.3 will recite together. क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञयोर ज्ञानम यत्तद् ज्ञानम मतं मम. So Arun Prabhu, can you please read translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation.
Mm.
O Scion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion.
Okay. So I think you can read the purport also, very important purport.
Purport. While discussing the subject of the body and the knower of the body, the soul and the super soul, we shall find three different topics of study: the Lord, the living entity, and matter. In every field of activities, in every body, there are two souls, the individual soul and the super soul. Because the super soul is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Krishna says, I am also the knower, but I am not the individual knower of the body. I am the super knower. I am present in every body as the Paramatma or super soul. One who studies the subject matter of the field of activity and the knower of the field very minutely in terms of of this Bhagavad Gita can attain to knowledge. The Lord says, I am the knower of the field of activities in every individual body. The individual may be the knower of his own body, but he is not in knowledge of other bodies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present as the Super Soul in all bodies, knows everything about all bodies. He knows all the different bodies of all the various species of life. A citizen may know everything about his patch of land, but the king knows not only his palace, but all the properties possessed by the individual citizens. Similarly, one may be the proprietor of the body individually, but the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of all bodies. The king is the original proprietor of the kingdom, and the citizen is the secondary proprietor. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the supreme proprietor of all bodies. The body consists of the senses. The Supreme Lord is Rishikesha, which means the controller of the senses. He is the original controller of the senses, just as the king is the controller of all the activities of the state. The citizens are secondary controllers. The Lord says, I am also the knower. This means that he is the super knower. The individual soul knows only his particular body. In the Vedic literature, it is stated as follows: Chitrani hi sharirani bijam chapi shubha shubhe tani vetti sa yogatma tata kshetra ye uchyate. This body is called the Kshetra, and within it dwells the owner of the body and the Supreme Lord, who knows both the body and the owner of the body. Therefore, he is called the knower of all fields. The distinction between the field of activities, the knower of activities, and the super knower of activities is described as follows: perfect knowledge of the constitution of the body, the constitution of the individual soul, and the constitution of the super soul is known in terms of Vedic literature as Gyan, that is the opinion of Krishna. To understand both the soul and the super soul as one, yet distinct in knowledge, yet distinct is knowledge. One who one who does not understand the field of activity and the knower of activity is not in perfect knowledge. One has to understand the position of Prakriti, Purusha, and Ishvara, the knower who dominates or controls nature and the individual soul. One should not confuse the three in their different capacities. One should not confuse the painter, the painting, and the easel. This material world, which is the field of activities, is nature, and the enjoyer of nature is the living entity, and above them both is the supreme controller, the personality of Godhead. It is stated in the Vedic language in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Bhokta Bhogyam Preritaram Chamatva Sarvam Proktam Trividham Brahmam Etat. There are three Brahman conceptions. Prakriti is Brahman as the field of activities, and the Jiva individual soul is also Brahman and is trying to control material nature. And the controller of both of them is also Brahman, but he is the factual controller. In this chapter, it will also be explained that out of the two knowers, one is fallible and the other is infallible. One is superior and the other is subordinate. One who understands the two knowers of the field to be one and the same contradicts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who states here very clearly, I am also the knower of the field of activity. One who misunderstands a rope to be a serpent is not in knowledge. There are different kinds of bodies and there are different owners of the bodies. because each individual soul has his individual capacity for lording it over material nature. There are different bodies, but the Supreme also is present in them as the controller. The word cha is significant for it indicates the total number of bodies. That is the opinion of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan. Krishna is the super soul present in each and every body apart from the individual soul. And Krishna explicitly says here that real knowledge is to know that the super soul is the controller of both the field of activities and the finite enjoyer.
Okay, thank you. So you may be wondering why such a big purport and such a simple thing, another knower, which is a super soul apart from the soul. This is pretty straightforward, right? But actually, Srila Prabhupada knows. There's many of these Gyanis and impersonalists, the Mayavadis, they will twist and, they will do the word jugglery and they will give different meaning to the same verse. This is their actually specialty. What Krishna is saying, Kshetrajnam cha api mam vidhi. Know that I am also the knower, Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, in all the bodies, in all the different kshetras. Kshetrajna yor jnanam, the body and the knowing the body and the knower of the body, that is actually yatta jnanam matamama. That is actually called as jnana. What is jnana? So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, constitution of the body, constitution of the soul, and constitution of the super soul. So knowing these three things is actually called as jnana. But what these impersonalists they will twist and how they will say kshetrajnam cha api mam vidhi. So the kshetrajna which is being described in the earlier verse, that is this individual soul, that is me only. God is saying that that knower is me only, like that. So they mix from the earlier verse and this verse, and therefore they say, so that's how the Jiva and God, they are all one and they are equal. And that's how they will actually twist, and that's how they are the offenders at the lotus feet of Krishna. Mayavadi, Krishna Aparadhi. And there are many so-called Mahavakya. Srila Prabhupada explains, Mahavakya means from the Vedas or the Vedanta Sutras, the big theories. What is that? Some of those words, I mean, they like very much these aphorisms. Aham Brahmasmi. What is the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi? Aham Brahmasmi means I am the spirit soul, right? Srila Prabhupada says, nowhere we say that Aham Param Brahmasmi. Like Arjuna is saying, Parabrahma Param Dhama. So nowhere it is scripture, it is said, soul is Parabrahma. It is actually Aham Brahmasmi, means spirit soul only. I am not the matter. I am actually the spirit. That is the emphasis of Aham Brahmasmi. Then if you study Sri Ishopanishad, you will come across this Tattvamasi or Soham. These are the very famous Mahavakyas of this impersonalist. What does it mean, Tattvamasi? Tattvamasi.
It says वो मैं ही हूँ मतलब जो सुप्रीम है वो मैं ही.
You are. Tat means that. Tvam means you. Asi means yeah, is. You are that. What you are? You are that means you are the same. You are the same. What you are? You actually the spirit soul. So that philosophy which Srila Prabhupada explains, that to understand both the soul and the super soul as one yet distinct is knowledge. So which philosophy are talking about here? Talking about here? Achintya Bheda Bhed, right? Bheda Abhed, there is a difference and there is no difference, Abhed also. And this is inconceivable. That's between the Jiva and the God or the Supreme Lord. They're same and they're not same also. So how they're same? They're qualitatively same and quantitatively they are different. So a soul should not mistake himself to be the body as the self. No, means you are tattvamasi, means you are actually, it is meant for this conditioned soul that you are the same spirit soul. You are that. You are that means you are not this matter. That is the way it is being explained. But they say tattvamasi means you are that. That is you. You and he, they are all same, one, equal. You are God. Now only because you are under the influence of Maya, you don't know you are actually that Brahman. Like that, they twist and turn like that. Sometimes they have this, I mean, in Ishopanishad also the verse, it comes towards the end, the last prayers. Soham. Soham. What does Soham means? Sa aham. That I am, or he is me. I am he, or that I am. So aham. So many times, these people, these impulses, they will chant Soham. That is their actually Mahamantra. Soham. I am actually he. I am actually he. Like that they say. Sometimes they will also tell you, oh, we have, all of us, we have different bodies. Our minds are also individual. But then they drop the bomb. But our consciousness is universal. That's how they will talk. And that's how they will try to tell us, these innocent, gullible, masses who have never heard in parampara or as it is, they will fall prey to this word jugglery and think, oh, we are all one, ultimately one consciousness, only universal consciousness, etc., etc. So, Srila Prabhupada explains, Soham means I'm actually he in the sense, same in quality, but not in quantity. Like that. And Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan explains that in the earlier verse 13.2, it is said, one who knows the body is Kshetrajnam, that is actually the individual soul or the jiva. And in 13.3, when Krishna is saying, Kshetrajnam cha api mam vidhi, that Kshetrajnam is actually Krishna, that it is not actually jiva is equal to God. In the all the bodies, the same jiva is there, and Lord is saying, know that I am the knower of all the fields. It means I am another knower. So if somebody uses this word, let's ask this question to you. Somebody uses this word to describe that the jiva and the Lord, they are the one. So what are the different ways we can refute that, their claim? Prabhupada, we already read that purport, right? So what are some of the ways we can refute their claim that the jiva and the Lord, they are the same, based on 13.3 text and the purport? Can somebody try to say? Many analogies are also given by Srila Prabhupada here.
One analogy is of Bhagwan, that is having 6 Aishwarya, which we don't have, but Bhagwan has.
Okay, fine. That is one way of explaining the difference between the Bhagwan and the individual soul. Okay. What else?
Like Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Mm.
Prabhupada ji give example that if I get some disease, then I know, or like I know, or sometime even the person also doesn't know that there is some disease or some infection in the body. But in many cases, you may know. But what is happening in the other's body or in the other's mind, we don't know. But Krishna or the God, he was sitting in one place and he was knowing what is happening in the Kuru assembly. Like this, we get pastime. So Krishna is knowing everything from one place, but we are not able to know even of our body also, what to talk of other. Like this, I've heard in lecture. Uh, like
Okay,
I
yes.
was,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, like I was not very sure that will this example fit here in your question, but I gave.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct. We are here. Krishna is saying that Kshetrajnam cha api mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. So he's telling this knower how it is different from the earlier knower. That earlier knower only knows something about this body. I am the individual soul. I know something about my body. I don't know even everything. I'm just eating, but I don't know after eating how that food get digested and how it gets converted to saptadhatu. Do I know? I don't know that, but Krishna will know that. So I know to some extent what is happening to my body, what to speak about what is happening in others' body. There is no way I can know that, right? But here Krishna is telling emphatically, Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. I am the Kshetrajna who knows what is happening in all the bodies, like that. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada gives this analogy of citizen and the king in the purport. So a land is being possessed by a citizen and he knows about his land. He is the possessor of the land. But what is he? He is the secondary proprietor. All the land basically belongs to the king, who is the original or the primary proprietor. And then he has allocated this land to the one particular citizen, and he is the secondary proprietor, like that. Yes, somebody has raised the hand. Prasanna Gopal, you want to say something?
I was about to tell the same example, citizen and the king. King knows his palace as well as the all citizens' properties, whereas the citizen knows only about his own land. That's the same example.
Correct, correct. Yes. So that way also this different type of Kshetrajna is being explained. And Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, I think Srila Prabhupada also quoted him towards the end. He he talks about this cha kshetrajnam cha api. Cha means also. I'm also in the Zoom. I'm also in the Zoom means I'm different than the other people who are in the Zoom. I'm also there as one more person, right? Like that in the Zoom room. Similarly, Krishna is telling, I am also there in the body as the knower of the body. So that Krishna, how does Krishna knows? Krishna is not personally present. Krishna is present in the form of his Purusha Avatara. There is three Vishnus are there. What is that? Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Karanodakshaya Vishnu. So this Paramatma is the feature of whom? Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So in the form of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, his expansion, Krishna is knowing actually also. He is also the knower. He is also there. Cha api. So Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says here, the jivas know their own individual bodies as means of enjoyment and liberation, as citizens know the field they own and cultivate. But I alone, the Lord of all, know all these fields, bodies, which must be supported by me for their very existence. Thus, I am the knower of all fields, like a king. And if you read the Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives little different angle and different explanation. Very nice explanation also he gives. And he quotes verses from the other chapters of this last this third section of Bhagavad Gita. In that same section, three Shloki Bhagavad Gita, 15.16, 17, 18, where the essence of Veda and the Vedanta is being given. So 16th verse says, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Dvavimo Purusho Loke Kshara Akshara Evacha Kshara Sarvani Bhutani Kutastho Akshara Uchyate. There are two classes of living beings. One is called fallible, Kshara, and Akshara means infallible. Those who are in this material world, they are called as fallible, and those who are in the liberated state, in the spiritual world, they are called as infallible, Akshara. And the next verse talks about how the Lord is different than both of these. Uttama Purushastva Anya Paramatme iti Udararut. What he says, Uttama Purusha, there is a Uttama Purusha, means, as Prabhupada explains, Uttama means, Tama means Andakar, who is beyond this darkness is actually Uttama. That is actually Krishna. Purushastva Anya. There's another Purusha. He's different than whatever has been quoted earlier in the 16th verse. Dvavimau Purusholoke. So the Kshar and Akshara, and there is Anya apart from this Kshara, fallible and infallible. And that is called as Paramatma iti Udararut. He is called as Paramatma. So then further 18th verse also talks about the, the attributes of this Purushottama and how in the Vedas he is being glorified as Purushottama, etc. So that's how he says Paramatma or the super soul is different than the individual soul, whether it is conditioned state or liberated state, like that. And he also quotes another verse from this same chapter, 13th chapter, 23rd verse, where the functions of the Paramatma, they have been described. Upadrushta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatme iti chapi yukto dehe asmin purushapara. So what is his function? He's Upadrushta. He's actually the overseer. Anumanta, he's a permitter. Bharta Bhokta, he's actually the maintainer. And he's actually the enjoyer. And he's the Maheshwara. And Paramatma iti chapi ukto, he's called as Paramatma. Dehe asmin purusha para. In this body, there is a para purusha, there is superior purusha or the enjoyer, like that. So that's the actually Paramatma who is different than the individual soul. So this is the another second knower of the body, the super soul or the Paramatma, which is the plenary expansion of Krishna, is being talked about in 13.3 by Krishna. So the individual soul knows about his own body, something little bit about his own body. The super knower, Krishna, like just like in the IT, we have user and super user. They have some uh, additional controls. So similarly, Jiva is the knower, and Prabhupada says Krishna is the super knower. So the citizen and the secondary proprietor that we already saw. Another thing, interesting thing Srila Prabhupada talks about is the Rushikesha. Actually, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan quotes this verse from the Mahabharata. And what about this Rushikesha? So I'm having some senses. My body is having senses, made up of senses, and I have certain control, right? But Rushikesha means he is the master of the senses. So he is the original control of even my senses, or all the senses in all the bodies, like that. So if you read the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where this Rishikesha word comes in the first, I think 15 or 22nd verse, twice it comes. So Srila Prabhupada explains the meaning or significance of the word Rishikesha. So there he writes, Rishikesha, he controls the senses of the jiva also, but in proportion to their surrender. To the extent the jivas are surrender, to that extent Krishna will control their senses. So in terms of their pure devotees, Krishna will directly control their senses. So therefore, if you ask, oh, Arjuna was such a big fighter and he's already fought with his Kauravas and so many battles and with Indra and Khandoprastha, how Arjuna could be bewildered on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? What is the answer? Why Arjuna was bewildered by seeing all these warriors on the other side? What is the answer?
Like Guruji, you only gave that Krishna is Rishikesh, he is controlling Karna's sense.
Krishna is controlling. Therefore, that's how, because it's Krishna's arrangement to bring out the Bhagavad Gita. That's how. If you read Bhagavatam, first canto, towards the end, Parikshit Maharaj is putting the snake in the dead snake in the neck of the Shamak Rishi. How come? That Parikshit Maharaj, who has seen the Lord Sri Krishna in the womb of his mother, in the Uttara's womb, he has already seen. That's how his name is Parikshit. He's coming out and examining whether if that was the person I saw in the womb of my mother. That's Parikshit. He's so refined. He's so Uttam Bhagavata. But how come he's so civilized? How can he do something like this? The only answer is, it is the arrangement of the providence, arrangement of Lord Sri Krishna, who is the Rishikesha, is controlling their senses. And because the Bhagavatam has to brought out, because of his grandfather, Bhagavad Gita came, and now because of Parikshit Maharaj, Bhagavatam is to come out. Therefore, that is the arrangement of the Lord, and that's how he's acting as Rishikesha. So, here the significance of Rishikesha is the original control of all the senses. In the text also 13.14, when we study Sarvata Panipadam Tat Sarvata Akshishiro Mukham, Lord is telling, I have my hands and legs everywhere. I have my mouth everywhere. Sarvata Shruti Malloke. I have my ears everywhere. What does that mean? Can you claim, an individual jiva can claim my hands and legs are everywhere, my ears are everywhere, my eyes are everywhere? We cannot claim. So Krishna says, Prabhupada explains that even our hands and legs, they are the hands and legs of Krishna only. Therefore, the jivas are there everywhere. So Krishna says, my hands and legs are Pani, Padam, Akshi, Shiro, Mukham. Everything is they are there everywhere, like that. And lastly, Prabhupada also says the individual soul is ignorant, he's being controlled and is fallible. Whereas this knower, the second knower, he is the omniscient. He is knowing, all knowing, and is the supreme controller, and is actually infallible. Achyuta. Like that. And then this analogy is an interesting analogy of the painter painting and the easel. Who can explain this analogy? What this analogy explains? We read that, right? Painter painting an easel. It talks about, yes, Arun Prabhu.
Literally,
So,
field.
No, therefore, I said it is better you raise your hands, Kishore Madhav Prabhu, because otherwise two people will speak same time and there's a confusion. So you speak Kishore Madhav Prabhu first now, because you already Spoke.
The Hazel is field, Kshetra,
Okay.
and painting is knowledge, Nan.
Painting is knowledge.
How to paint.
Okay. What else? Who is the
One-
painter?
Painter is Krishna.
Painter is Krishna.
Krishna, yeah, means the super soul. No one.
Okay, fine. So let's see what Arun Prabhu has to say.
As far as I understood that Srila Prabhupada is saying that he's giving the analogy that the way painter painting and the easel is different in the sense that painter is one who is doing the activity in here the living entity, and the painting the his field of activity. Painting means the board on which he is drawing, or the way he is drawing. So he is doing the activity. The field of activity is his painting, and then easel. I was like little confused about the exact meaning of this word. So that I didn't understand exactly, Prabhuji.
Easel means, you have seen sometimes the painter, they put up a stand, just like we put our chart board we have during the day classes. And on that stand, they put some papers and there's a painting, and they using that stand, which is there, they stand up and then they do the painting. So that stand, the paper, etc., that is called as the easel. That which supports the painting. Is this clear now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So what is it?
Uh, I need to think, Prabhuji.
Huh?
I need to think. I need to think.
Oh, okay. No problem. You can think. Anybody else? So, I mean, it is, I must agree that it is little confusing actually. It is little confusing. What Srila Prabhupada is talking about, three things: the superknower, the individual knower, and the field of activities. That is being loosely that is being compared to that support system for the painting itself, and the painter. Now, I heard Chaitanya Charan Prabhu also is talking about this is an approximate example, because if you compare, the painter means the ultimate controller, that to the Supreme Lord Krishna, that if we compare, and then the easel is, it is little easy to understand, that is actually the field of activity, right? And then the painting can be compared to the jiva, correct? Which is not why, that's why he says it's an approximate, because painting is not a living thing, it's not a conscious thing, but whereas individual jiva is the consciousness, thinking, feeling, willing is there. So without going into the very too much details, this is in this particular analogy, what we have to understand from this analogy is that these three are distinct, and sometimes they get mixed up with each other. They appear to be mixed up, but they still are distinct. The Lord, the individual, the superknower or the super soul, Paramatma, the individual soul, and the field of activity, they sometimes appear to be mixing. In the same body, there is a super soul, there is a individual soul also, but actually they should not be confused and they should not be considered as one. That is the message which we can understand from this particular analogy. And then Srila Prabhupada also talks about this snake and the rope, right? Why this is being stated? Because the same impersonalists or Mayavadis, they say what? Brahma Satya and Jagat Mithya. Jagat Mithya means this world is false, this material nature is false. That is actually what they actually say. God only, or the Brahma is actually the only reality and not this material world. That's what they say. But whereas, our Vaishnava philosophers or Vaishnava acharyas, they say, no, actually, Jagat is not mithya. Jagat is actually temporary. It is actually eternal, but material nature is eternal, but the manifestation, and sometimes it gets unmanifested. So it is not mithya. We don't accept this. So when the serpent and the rope is being considered, it is not that the rope is false. Rope is also reality. Snake is also reality. But to consider the rope to be snake is the illusion. So similarly, the body which is made up of the material elements or given by the material nature is not false, it is temporary. The body is true, the soul is also true. It is only the considering soul, myself to be the body, that is actually the illusion, like that has been explained. Okay, so there are some quotations on this particular important verse by Srila Prabhupada. I want somebody to read from the screen. So, somebody who has not participated so far, can you read, please? Are you able to see it on the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji, shall I read?
Yes, Anuradha Mataji, please read.
The means another. The Mayavadi says that there is only one spirit. No, not able to. Can you scroll down, Prabhuji?
No, actually,
It's visible.
one
It's
second.
visible, Prabhuji.
Okay, somebody else who can see it very clearly can please read. Maybe Mataji is having some difficulty.
Can I read, Project?
Yes.
Cha means another. The Mayavadi philosopher says that there is only one spirit. No, there are two. Krishna says Cha. Cha means another. And as the individual living soul is the proprietor of this body, not proprietor. He is the occupier. Similarly, I have got interest in everybody. Just like a landlord. Landlord has got many houses. I may occupy one of the houses. So I have got only interest in that particular house where I am living. But the landlord has got interest in so many houses. So Krishna has got interest not only in my body or your body. He has got interest in each and every body because he says Sarva Yonishu, in every species of life. It should be understood that all the species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed giving father.
Yes, so Krishna, very nice analogy Srila Prabhupada gives. The landlord who is got interest in all the houses. I may be interested only in my own, but one particular house. So in the 5.29, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvalokameshwaram Surudham. While explaining Surudham, Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna has no business to come along with me, whether I am in the demigod's body, man's body, or I'm a hog's body. Imagine, somebody is eating stool and you cannot stand next to it, right? But Paramatma, the super soul Krishna, is accompanying even in the hog's body, and he's the witnessing whatever all the activities, abominable activities that particular jiva is doing in that particular body. So Prabhupada says, because he's Surudam, he is actually our ever well-wisher. No matter what we do, how we do, still he's actually very, very merciful to us, and he's accompanying in all the various bodies which we are transmigrating through. Okay, fine. So can you please read the next one also? Are you able to see?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please read.
Rishikesha, Krishna is so affectionate to the living entity, whatever he wants, he's giving him. Come on, take it. Therefore, we find so many varieties of body. Why so many varieties of body? Because the living entity wants a particular type of apartment. If this type of apartment would have been given to me, I would have been very much happy. All right, you take this. But the owner of the apartment is Krishna. Therefore, here it is said, Kshetra Jnanam Chapimam
Kshetrajnam, yeah. Okay.
Chapimam
Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata.
Bharata. Bhagavad Gita 13.3. So the living entity, the occupier of the body, and the owner is Krishna. Therefore, Krishna's another name is Rishikesha. Rishikesha, this body means the senses. We are enjoying with this body means we are enjoying the sense gratification. My eyes to see something very beautiful. So God has given us these eyes. See nicely, to your heart's content. I want to touch something soft. Krishna has given us. All right, you take opportunity. Ek bahunam vidhati. Prabhuji, I can't able to see the last line.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So this is a verse, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vididati Kaman. So Krishna and the individual jivas, what is the difference? Kathopanishad says, Nityo Nityanam, among the all eternals, he is the supreme eternal. Chetanas Chetananam, among the all conscious beings, he is the supreme conscious, because he is conscious of everything, whatever is going on. And Eko Bahunam Yo Vididati Kaman means that one singular, who is the supreme conscious, who is the supreme eternal, he is actually fulfilling the desires of all the so many individuals. Bahunam, all the Bahunam plural jivas which are there, all their desires are being fulfilled by this Eko, this one supreme being. That is actually what the Upanishads they actually say. There's another nice Prabhupada gives meaning to the Rishikesha in the second canto, I think. So when Sukadeva Goswami is being requested by Parikshit Maharaj to talk about the creation, he asks some questions. And whilst before beginning to answer those questions, Sukadeva Goswami actually remembers Rishikesha. And Srila Prabhupada writes there, why does he remember Rishikesha? Because now he's trying to invoke the mercy of the Lord, who is the Rishikesha. He is the controller of the senses. So he can put the right words at the right time through my particular senses, and I can describe the glories of the creation or the creation itself or the Supreme Lord. And that's how he's actually praying to the Rishikesha, the Sukadeva Goswami. So it's nice understanding. Yes, and then I think the last one, you can please also read.
Difference between I and God. So myself, I am called Atma, and Krishna is Paramatma. Therefore, there are two words, Paramatma and Atma. Atma is also individual. Paramatma is also individual. But because both of us, we are knower. Kshetrajna. The living entity is
Kshetradnya.
Kshetrajna. He has got knowledge. And Krishna says, Kshetrajna chapi mam vidhi. I am also knower. Both of them, we are knower. We have got knowledge. My knowledge may be limited. Krishna's knowledge unlimited, complete. But both of us, we are knower. We can understand, we can know. Therefore, we are called Kshetrajna. But the difference is Krishna knows everything all over the creation. I even do not know what is going on in my body. That is the difference. So, how one can become God? Rascal. How one can become God? That is not possible. God knows everything. If one knows everything, then you can accept him as God. Otherwise, don't accept. As soon as somebody says, I am God, kick him on the face. Yes, yes, you are God. I am God. I am the kicking God. That should be the answer. I am the shoe beater God. Now you protect yourself if you are God. Don't accept this false God. Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1.3.28. Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. That is the verdict, all. Just like Vyasadeva, the giver of the Vedic knowledge, he says, Bhagwan Uvacha, God says. So we have to follow that.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Fine. Any questions or comments on this verse which we discussed? Very important verse. Otherwise, we'll go ahead. Next text. Yes, Arjun Prabhu.
If you can tell this, you told second canto Sukadeva Goswami says Rishikesh and then praise. So if you can tell that reference later or
I'll tell you later. Maybe I can
yes,
text you on the WhatsApp.
yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. So now next Krishna is going to describe about the kshetra or the field of activity or about the body. So 13.4 we'll recite together. Tat kshetram yat yadrukcha yad vikari yatascha yat sachayo yat prabhavascha tat samasena me shruno. Yes. Anuradha Mataji, can you read translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. Now, please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are.
Okay, fine. So, tat samasena me shrunu. You hear now how? In brief. Samasena means in brief, in summary, not in detail. So, what about this kshetra or the field of activity? How it is constituted? What are the changes? So, uh, there are 4 points which Krishna will talk about the kshetra and 2 points about the kshetrajna. So the composition of the body, this is yatcha, that is explained in 13.6. 13.7 will talk about what qualities it exhibits, yadruk, desire, hatred, etc. And what changes or transformation that body undergoes. We are talking about the body, kshetra. So yad vikari, this is being talked about 13.7, 13.20. And then the origin of the body, how and when, where the body is being produced, yataya, that is the explanation Acharyas gives us. So that is being explained in 13.6, 21, 22, 30. And the Swarupa or the identity of the knower of the field of activities. Now, last 2 items is about the knower of the Kshetrajna or the soul. Yat 13.14 to 18 and 13.23. And the last one is Yat Prabhava. Yat Prabhava means the powers of the knower of the body. That is also in 13.14 to 13.18 they have been described. So we'll just, there's not much to discuss. You can just read the purport, Mataji. Anuradha Mataji, can you read the purport?
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada says, the Lord is describing the field of activities and the knower of the field of activities in their constitutional position. One has to know how this body is constituted, the materials of which this body is made, under whose control this body is working, how the changes are taking place, where from the changes are coming, what the causes are, what the reasons are, what the ultimate goal of the individual soul is, and what the actual form of the individual soul is. One should also know the distinction between the individual living soul and the super soul, their different influences, their potential, etc. One just has to understand this Bhagavad Gita directly from the description given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all this will be clarified. But one should be careful not to consider the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every body to be one with the individual soul, the Jiva. This is something like equating the potent and the impotent.
So this is, sometimes you will see this pattern. Many times Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he talks about from the previous purport. 17.89, the food in the mode of goodness, there is no purport. Then in the food in the mode of passion, 17.9, there is no purport. But in 17.10, food in the mode of ignorance, Prabhupada writes everything about food in goodness, passion, etc. like that. So the last caution which is Prabhupada is giving is coming from where? It's coming from our discussion earlier, from the earlier verse, where some people, they try to equate Jiva with the God. So Prabhupada is actually giving us the warning. So tat samasena me shrunum. So in brief, in summary, I'm telling, so Arjuna may have this question, oh, where I can get more details? Now you're telling I'll tell them in brief. So where can I get more details? So Krishna, knowing this, he answers this particular question in the next verse, 13.5. Rushibhir bahuda gitam chandobhir vividhay pruthak brahmasutra padaschaiva hetu madbhir vinishchite. Somebody, Nagnajiti Mataji, can you please read translation?
That knowledge of the field of activity and of the knowers of activity is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is specially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect.
Hetu madbhir vinishite means, no, it's a big purport. We'll just discuss and try to complete this. So, Hetu madbhir means actually it is the cause and effect. All these Rushibhir Bahuda, many ways, the wise sages, they have what? They have described Gitam, Chandobhir Vividhe Pruthak. In the various Vedic hymns, it is being described various ways about these things, which I'm describing in brief or summary, where Brahma Sutra Padascheve, in the aphorisms of the Brahma Sutra, in the Vedanta Sutra, also this is being described in great detail as to the cause and effect, etc. So there's a very interesting point here. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the very beginning of the purport, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the highest authority in explaining this knowledge. Still, as a matter of course, learned scholars and standard authorities always give evidence from the previous authorities. So in brief, Krishna is actually trying to tell us, Krishna could have said, I'm telling you, just take it. No, Krishna is actually also quoting the authorities, Rushibhir Bahuda, like that. So this is the way of Vedic way of adhering to the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. It is always check and balance system. What other authorities, what Guru says, what other sadhu says, what are the scriptures telling about it? So is there any other example which you know or remember or you have heard where this kind of authorities have been quoted to support what they are saying? Any example you are able to remember or you can quote? Just like in the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, we said, after Krishna explains Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, etc. And then after that, 13.8, 9, 10, 11. 13.12, sorry, 10.12 and 13, not 13. 10.8, 9, 10, 11. And then 10.12, 13. Arjuna says what? Parabrahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum Ahustam Rushyas Sarve Devarshir Narada Sata Asito Devalo Vyasa Swayam Chaiva Bravishme. You are Param Brahma, you are Param Dhama, etc. All these attributes of Krishna, of the Supreme Absolute Truth, Arjuna is describing and he's saying what? Prabhupada writes there in the purport, if you read, it is not because Krishna is the friend of Arjuna. Arjuna is saying this to flatter Krishna. No, he is quoting authorities. Asito, Devalo, Vyasa, Swayam Chaiva Bravishme. You are the supreme absolute truth. Your Parabrahma is being stated by Asito, Devalo and Vyasadev. And now you are telling yourself, Swayam Chaiva Bravishme. So it is not that just because sometimes we tell to our friend, oh, you are great, Baba. Oh, you are great. You're great. Like that we say. No, Arjuna is not flattering. He's quoting authorities there, like that. In the second chapter also, Krishna says, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. This is another Upanishadic style verse is there, It's very enigmatic, not very clearly stated what is what. This verse is talking about what? Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. It's word jugglery actually. These are how the Upanishads are. And Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, those who read Upanishads, Upanishads are actually very confusing. And those who read Upanishads, the Gyanis, they're also very confused also. Like that he says. So, Nasato Vidyate Bhava means of the soul, there is no decay, and of the body, there is no permanence. That is being talked about the body and the soul there, actually like that. But Krishna says, Ubhayor api drishtontas, Tvanayos Tattvadarshi. Those who are Tattvadarshi, those who have studied the nature of both, of the field, of the body, and of the soul, they have come to this conclusion. Krishna is now saying, I am telling you. Krishna is quoting now authorities, like that. So many places, if you see Bhagavad Gita, many places in the Bhagavatam also, you will see this is being the trend. Like when Sutta Goswami is narrating to the sages of Naimisharanya, what he says first, he says, when Sukadeva Goswami, my spiritual master, he's invoking his mercy and he's telling when he recited Bhagavatam for the first time on the banks of Ganges, I was also present as in the audience and I heard it with the rapt attention. And I'm going to tell you yathamati yathashrutam, whatever I heard, whatever I understood, I'm just going to repeat it. So Prabhupada says, nowadays there is a fashion, I think, in my opinion, or what is the value of your thinking and what is the value of your opinion? It has no value. So we have to always quote whenever we speak, whenever we speak, we have to speak based on Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So you will find this many, many times. When Sukadeva Goswami is being questioned by Parikshit Maharaj, tell me about the creation. Then he's again quoting the narration between the Brahmaji and his son Narad Muni. Narad Muni is asking some questions. He has already asked questions, and the same dialogue between them is being quoted by by Sukadeva Goswami, and he's not reinventing any new wheel now. He's just quoting authorities and telling like this. So that is the way actually to quote Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra and authorities, and not something we have to reinvent and tell something new like that. Of course, we can give our realizations in our own meaning, in our own words. Some analogies we can always quote, but basically we have to not create something new. Okay. So Prabhupada is saying here,
Yeah, in CC also,
yes.
I want to add one. In CC, in the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also referring and offering obeisances to all the acharyas and taking their blessings, and also saying that I don't have any credit, but because of their empowerment, I am writing this. So although he has capability, although he was like empowered pure soul, but he is giving all credits to the acharyas. And also whatever he's saying that whatever I'm writing, it is just a remnant, whatever is left by the Vrindavan Das Thakur and other acharyas, Lochan Das Thakur and others.
Yes, very nice example. Yes, so I'm just giving the remnants of Vrindavan Das Thakur, which is actually the Vasudev, and he's actually written the Chaitanya Mangal, and I'm just, whatever he has left out, I'm just giving, and whatever I'm giving, that is also his Uchishta only. Yes, very nice. So like that we see all the time. And if you read the Chaitanya Charitamrut Madhya Leela 19th chapter Rupa Shiksha, or 2021, those 4-5 chapters Sanatan Shiksha, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is quoting, all these from Ocean, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, like that. He's quoting verses. And if you read Srila Prabhupada's purports, many times Srila Prabhupada may quote the verse from another Vedic text, or sometimes without quoting a particular verse number, whatever he writes, actually it's a paraphrasing of the whatever is being stated in the other Vedic text. So that's how Srila Prabhupada's words or these sentences are actually so authoritative, and that's how they have been so not only informative, they're transformative also. So I think our time is up. So you can just read this purport. And in the second paragraph, Prabhupada talks about, in the third paragraph, he talks about this Brahma Pucham. So the 5 stages of realization of Brahman, that maybe we can discuss different koshas, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya next time, and we can begin from there. So I would just like to stop here and see if you have anything to do, you can just drop off. But if you have any questions or anything you want to add or comment, you can do that now. If not, we can just stop here now. Our time is 11:30 to 1:30. Is it correct?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Why this has been changed from 11 to 1 is the standard time?
Yeah, 11 to 1 was standard, but in the last, like first 2 unit was 11 to 1. But in the last unit, His Grace Adi Bhagwan Prabhuji was taking 11:30 because he had some medicines or some medical problem. He told earlier. So I asked him. He said to continue from 11:30 to 1:30 only for this unit also.
Okay, so my question is, anybody is having any issues continuing from 11 to 1? I mean, you can just take a poll or whatever in your this thing group.
I'll take a poll on
Because Adi
WhatsApp
Bhagwan
group.
Prabhu, yeah.
So
He
Prabhuji,
was telling
like
some
11,
couple from the
yeah.
11 to 1.
So which time is suitable for you, Prabhuji? 11 to 1 or 11:30 to 1:30? For
No,
you.
he actually told me there is one devotee couple who's from UK. I don't know whether I can't see them here. Are they here now?
Today they didn't join. Like they have not messaged me for reason for that. Generally, they are regular.
Okay. They're regular. Okay.
Yeah,
So if they are there and if their demand is there 11:30 to 1:30, so I can continue with this also 11:30 to 1:30. But if they are not going to be there regularly and they can just hear the recording later on, then I would like to switch to 11 to 1. So you can take a final call on this, Prabhuji.
fine, Prabhuji.
Okay. So any
Yes,
other
yes.
questions or comments other than the timing? No questions, no comments? Okay. So we'll stop here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ji ki jai, Upasthit
Yeah.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai
Yeah.
Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.